It is the 31st of the 7th, 2012. This is today's climate change update. Let's go ahead and get started on sod.net. Study says Western North America faces 21st century mega drought. Oregon, the climate's new normal for most of the coming century, will parallel the long-term drought that hit Western North America from 2000 to 2004. The most severe drought in 800 years. Scientists report in a study published on Sunday. The severity and incidence in climatic extremes, including drought, have increased as a result of climate warming. The researchers said, adding that these long-term trends are consistent with 21st century mega drought conditions. This is another one of those global warming studies, so be very careful. Little Rock, Arkansas hits third highest temperature ever recorded, 111 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 44 degrees Celsius. Very, very hot indeed here. Storms cause widespread power failures across Pakistan. Protests against outages turned violent. Prolonged widespread power outages in most Pakistan cities during the scorching summer heat has triggered violent protests in most areas of the country. Coupled with hot and humid summer weather, the prolonged blackout has forced outraged citizens to take to the streets to protest the tough living conditions. The protests turned violent as some of the angry protesters reportedly attacked offices of power supply department in several places, damaging official and private properties. But they're saying nobody was hurt in the incidents. So these people are getting pretty angry they don't have any power. Europe wrestles with searing high temperatures. Finland, the mercury rose over 30 degrees Celsius for the first time this summer in eastern Finland, as meteorologists warned of severe thunderstorms later in the day. Severe heat wave, drought, and wildfires destroy Russian harvest. Now, if we haven't had enough food crisis going on, it continues across the northern hemisphere. Russia is currently in the grips of an extremely strong heat wave. City and town residents are suffocating from sweltering heat. For example, it's about 30 degrees Celsius in Moscow, with prospects of the thermometer going up in the next few days. Mutant fish with transparent scales discovered at Japanese fishery among 300,000 regular opaque fish. The ayu, or sweet fish, is a summer delicacy in Japan, usually coated in salt and grilled over charcoal fire. The fish is known for its refreshingly sweet taste and consumed widely by Japanese people every year. This prefecture is west of Tokyo, up in the mountains. And they're saying they don't know what happened. They're more surprised that they caught the one fish out of 300,000 than they actually find this mutated fish. And the story continues, of course. NASA sees typhoon Saola, huge reach over the Philippines. Just saw a video where they're reporting up to 8 deaths. This is a huge, massive storm with floodings. There's another tropical storm just north of that, about ready to plow into Japan. And again, all this hurricane is stirring up that Pacific Ocean right off the coast of Japan, where we know everything is laying and seeping. And finally over here, heavy rains in central and eastern Costa Rica trigger floods, force evacuations. Heavy rains in central and eastern Costa Rica have triggered floods that have forced evacuations, and many responsible for at least one death. Relief workers said on Sunday 4 people are missing, down from 8 earlier, according to a spokesman from the local Red Cross. Over to the extinction protocol. India, hit by second grid collapse in 2 days. 620 million people without power in larger outage. This goes to show you need to prepare for situations, because you can't rely on the system. India suffered the second huge crippling power failure in 2 days on Tuesday, depriving as much as half of the vast and populous country of electricity and disrupting transport networks. The first power grid collapse on Monday was the country's worst blackout in a decade, and it affected 7 states in the northern India that are home to more than 350 million people. But Tuesday failure was even larger. So the problem continues, and of course they have stories out on that. And that's about all new they have on their report. They've got another story. Europe wrestles with searing high temperatures, of course. And over to the RSOE. Of course, we got the forest fires going on in Russia. Heat wave continues, an extreme heat wave continues in Japan. Of course, all the drought reports throughout the United States. Got volcano activity. Santa Maria volcano in Guatemala is gearing up. More extreme weather in China. Landslides, flooding, the works. Forest fire in Mark Twain National Forest in the state of Missouri. And of course the heat waves rolling through. And a number of forest fires through Canada and the United States. Over to the nuclear stuff. Let's just do E&E news. TEPCO announces live webcam to be removed from location within hours at Fukushima Daiichi. New view near sludge storage facility is planned. And you remember the TEPCO official camera is pointing at reactor number 1 and 2, and you can kind of see the rubble 3 and the cranes off. Working on number 4. They're going to switch the locations so we can get a better view of what's going on in number 4, number 3, but this will completely block out the view of number 1. No telling what's going on. They're saying they're switching the view due to requests from the viewers, kind of thing. Associated Press, link between nuclear weapons and nuclear power, quote, becoming increasingly clear, says Japanese professor. Nuclear power industry not thrilled, people are talking about it. And you got to remember, what was it, a few months ago, where the CIA released, yes, Japan has had a secret nuclear program since the late 60s, and we've been feeding them technology and whatnot so they can develop their nuclear program. These civilian nuclear reactors develop the plutonium that the military uses for their bombs and weapons and whatnot, and it is a valuable source for them, hence their push to keep the nuclear industry in motion, even though it is messing everything up everywhere. Japan and U.S. now working together to decommission Fukushima Daiichi. First meeting was last week. They're just now getting together. Genetic mutations from radiation exposure are up 100 times, higher than anything we've encountered in the animal kingdom. A former WHO consultant, World Health Organization, of course. I am sure authorities in the U.S. are detecting contamination from Fukushima Daiichi in fish on the West Coast and not telling people, Arnie Gunderson put out on a video. And we know that this is moving up to the West Coast of the United States, and the radiation continues to leak out of Fukushima Daiichi and God knows where else. It's pouring out of the rivers as they drain from their fallout, kind of thing, seeping into the Pacific Ocean and heading over our way. This is ongoing and will continue to be ongoing for a very, very long time. 57-year-old former chief of Fukushima plant had brain hemorrhage after becoming ill while out last Thursday. Quote, symptoms are serious, says TEPCO. Hemorrhagic syndromes increased 9-fold after Chernobyl. The radiation just doesn't attack your thyroid. There's heart problems. There's, again, there's a big list of things that can happen due to severe radiation exposure over long periods of time. And they're even doing studies in low dosage. So, of course, it's not good for you at all. I think they will get to the point of throwing concrete on Fukushima reactors and coming back in 300 to 500 years. Arnie Gunderson is saying the situation's so extreme with the melt through. They didn't melt down. They're melting through. They're in the earth and down into the water table again. They're coming up with ideas exactly what they're trying to do with this thing. Ex-chief of Fukushima Daiichi bleeding from the brain. Gunderson, powdered nuclear fuel laying outside containment at reactor number 2. Well, this is the one that's still halfway together. IAEA, sand, lead, boron, dolomite thrown over Fukushima reactor to smother fire after 3/11 question mark. The NRC memo, smoke could have been core concrete interaction on top of all the salt water they like to pour down on everything. Gunderson Fukushima reactor still releasing radioactive gas. Biggest problem is buildings are leaking into groundwater, of course. And of course Arnie Gunderson is pulling his punches as usual. And it goes on and on. 200,000 people gather in Tokyo, say organizers, to protest nuclear power and shutting these plants down, the Hawaii nuclear power plants. They surrounded the Prime Minister's office, and the police had to use actual buses to make sure nobody got inside, to block everybody else, kind of thing. And head of internal medicine at Japan hospital astonished by Fukushima thyroid exams. Immediate evacuation required in high contamination areas. Quote, a violation of human rights for those exposed, unquote. The criminals. That's about all I'm going to throw at you tonight. Of course, if I missed anything, please let me know. Enjoy Waking, everybody. Thanks.